Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Previously on Free Range Idiocy, we dropped into 1980s nostalgia and talked about the original Tron. Don't you look back at that belt, you son of a bitch. I'm not having it. Not having it. You better be looking back at the bourbon and not the belt.
I'm just saying, you said previously on Free Range Idiocy, I just immediately felt the need to grab one of the belts to just talk about my championship reign.
Anyway, this week we power up our lasers and upload ourselves to the grid one more time as we talk through both sequels, Legacy and Ares. How do we feel about the story, the quantum leaps forward in special effects technology, and having Garret, Hedlund, and Temu Joker as the heirs apparent to Kevin Flynn's vision of computer nirvana? Well, man, it's just our opinion in this episode 231, Sons of Tron. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who is considering melting down one of his championship belts and making his own Tron disc. He has been my partner in EDC for over 2 decades and always needs more quarters for the arcade. I give you the man they call Tim.
That's two-time champion, the man they call Tim. It's like triple T. How are you, my friend? How are you?
You're really testing this whole 30 days without alcohol thing.
I'm glad to see you survived the plague that you were suffering from last week, where you were literally running on fumes when we did that episode.
I don't remember much of it, but I hear it was,
I bet you don't.
Well.
I saw a light and the good Lord was calling me home.
This is the big one, Elizabeth. All right.
I am doing well. Doing well. No complaints. Life is good. How are you doing, sir? How are you?
I'm decent for the shape I'm in.
Teetering on the edge.
When am I not? When am I not? Oh, well, we once again have company with us here, or well,
yeah, because apparently we didn't scare her away. TJ's in his house. So how are you? And welcome back to the insanity that is this show.
Thank you.
We're talking Tron, so we got to have our resident expert with us for legitimacy and credentialing. So there we go. Good Lord, look at you go with a soundboard. My God.
Well, I realized I used it like once in the Wednesday show, so I'm trying to get some use out of this thing.
I don't hold it against you because, well, the Wednesday show. Yeah, you're right. Well, even last week's show, too. I don't think you used it a whole lot. But then again, you were just trying to maintain consciousness during that show. So coherency.
I'm lucky I was facing the right way in the chair.
I was going to say.
The whole show like this.
I was ready for you. Oh, my gosh. Well, welcome back, TJ. Thank you for joining us once again as we will delve into the digital world of Tron and try to suss out what the hell is going on between Legacy and Tron Legacy and Tron Ares. So we went through a pretty good deep dive of the OG Tron movie from 1982, and now we will be delving into the 2010 Tron Legacy, and now the 2025 Tron Ares that came out recently. So,
yeah, it only took about 50 years to get this whole trilogy done.
Yeah, it's kind of.
It'll be another 50 for the next sequel too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, good Lord. But nonetheless, we're going to dive right in now. We're going to try not to, dissect scene by scene. Every aspect of both movies, because we'd be here all night if we did that. But we'll kind of do a little bit of a jump into the story arc of Legacy and then Ares, and then kind of talk overall about the trilogy and kind of comparing the movies. So So how do we want to do this, folks? Do you want to jump right into the just overall story of Legacy and kind of get into that a little bit?
Sure.
I didn't use AI this time. I came up with my own questions.
Wow.
And
wow.
I'm very sad by the it's not 5 pages long, although I think we used all of like 2 things that I came up with last week, so maybe this is the better way.
Yeah, but you didn't burn a whole forest down for it, so it's okay.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so Tron Legacy picks up pretty much, I believe it's in the 2010s, right? So it is pretty much the amount of time.
I believe so, yeah.
After we find young Sam Flynn. Well, actually, there is a bit of a prologue to this movie.
We have young Sam Flynn.
Yeah, we have the I was going to come up with something else, but it's escaping me. But yes, young Sam Flynn. With Kevin Flynn, who is looking. I got to tell you, the rendering of a Jeff Bridges. So apparently the modeling for this was the 1984 version of Jeff Bridges from Against All Odds, which apparently Jeff must have put on a few pounds because he looks like he's got some acorn shoved in his cheeks, and he's a little thicker than he was back in the 1982 version.
Yeah, it's very rubbery mask sort of looking thing with the de-aging. Like it was definitely, it feels like, I can't remember, was this before we did the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Had to have been.
I think so.
It had to
Why?
have been, yeah, because that's when they de-aged Kurt Russell. And it still
he
looked a
looked
little
rubbery even in that.
Oh yeah, I mean, well they always do. Even like in the Scorsese flick, The Irishman, like it's gonna look weird. Although in that one, I heard a lot of it was just the fact that they were like superimposing younger faces on the older characters, and it just made them look younger but still move like old men. Which I'm like, yeah, that's a giveaway. It's very janky whenever you see Clue or like de-aged Jeff Bridges. But at the same time, like there is a bit of a charm to that, almost like how the some of the effects in the first one are a little on the janky side too. So
I'd like to refer to him as Chunky Kevin Flynn, is the way I'd like to refer to him as. Not that I'm, ladies and gentlemen, not that I am.
You can ask him to do the truffle shuffle or something. What
I am not one to cast stones, believe me. But again, computer generated. You're kind of like, I don't know.
I was going to say, are we really the people who ought to be commenting, like body
Probably
shaming
not.
Kevin Flynn?
Probably
really,
not. Probably not. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, I do feel like it works for Clue, considering he is like a program. Mm-hmm. I feel like there is sort of they can get away with that. I do think like the scenes where it's in the real world are very jarring, and like what I was talking to you, Dad, about it. How like it's fine when his face doesn't move, but the minute he starts talking, it doesn't look right. But
it gets janky. Yeah, it does. But young Kevin Flynn talking to young Sam Flynn, and he takes off on his motorcycle and is never to be heard from again. Apparently, abandons his son. What a father he is! But we find out 20 years later.
Freaking Tim coming off the top rope on Sam Kevin Flynn. Again, like
I'm just saying, I'm calling it like I see it.
Screw this guy in particular. To hell with him. I'm surprised the topic of this show was Kevin Flynn, bad father or worse father. Turning this into the McLaughlin group.
Oh my gosh.
Question. Should Kevin Flynn have been burned at the stake?
Wrong. All right, here we go. But yeah, so we jump ahead now. Let me see. So this was what, 1999. So 2000. Yeah, so 2009, 2010. We jump ahead. Sam is an adult. He's playing some ballyhoo, some tomfoolery with the NCOM
shenanigans, if you will.
Doing the whole. What does he do? Does he bungee jump off or just do a full-on? No, he doesn't
full
bungee
on
jump.
base jump. Full on base jump.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is pretty cool. But gets nabbed and then has a heart-to-heart with his surrogate dad, Alan Bradley, who hands the keys over to the arcade, which apparently that building must be owned by NCOM or something, because Flynn's is just going to be the business that never goes away.
Yep.
I think, and you know what? This is legitimate because, and I don't know if you remember this, TJ, when we moved you from Lincoln Park to where you are now, and we were driving through the neighborhoods, there's a lot of buildings that had been built. I remember we were talking about this, like I was saying, like, when were all these buildings built? Clearly they were built for some reason. There were businesses or whatnot. There are buildings that are up that have nothing in them and are just sitting there in Chicago.
Yep.
It's just like, so the fact that Flynn's Arcade is still sitting there, windows boarded up, whatever it is, yeah, it can happen. It can happen. Believe it or not.
So do you know what the actual building that they use, the practical building, is now?
I don't.
It's a restaurant.
Really? Is it called Flynn's?
That
Flynn
would be
Steakhouse?
awesome.
Flynn
That
Steakhouse?
would be awesome. You
Tron
know what would be
Steakhouse?
better even? Flynn's Falafel.
Oh,
there you go.
You got to get that alliteration in there, man.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
I'm an idea man.
Or it should be called Flynn Abides. Get the Lebowski in there,
Just get Disney and whoever owns the Big Lebowski to sue you both.
Exactly.
Maybe you can get them to sue each other and leave you alone. That'd be great.
Exactly. So Sam somehow fumbles his way.
I thought we weren't doing a blow by blow, and here you are, like recapping the whole movie.
I'm not. So Sam fumbles his way into the grid, right? He partakes in some games of chance and conquest along the way. We find out that Clue is apparently not relegated to the choir as we last saw him in the 1982 version, where he crashed his tank and went when he was.
It's a different Clue. There's many clues.
Well, this one doesn't sing apparently. So
yeah.
No,
he does not, or scream. But yeah. So we have Sam in pursuit of his father. He finally gets reconnected with him, and I don't know how you both felt, but I really I remember Kevin. We just watched Tron. I remember the Kevin Flynn character from Tron. I really felt like Jeff Bridges here was channeling a little bit of the dude in.
Oh yeah,
into Kevin Flynn.
Biodigital jazz, man.
Oh my gosh,
you're really messing with my Zen thing.
That was the line. I'm like, there's the dude.
Yep.
That was phenomenal. You're messing with my Zen, man. Oh gosh, that was good. That was good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's but that's part of the charm of it, because I could see, I could see the line from Kevin Flynn in the first movie to where we see him in the grid at that point. Like, he's had nothing to do but study philosophy and all of this stuff. So I mean, I could definitely see him becoming more of that dude character. Ish version of Kevin Flynn. Like that makes a lot of sense to me.
But he's also good.
I was gonna say the thing is that like one cycle is like barely any passage of time in the real world. So technically, like, Kevin Flynn's been stuck in the grid for, like, from his perception, like thousands of years. So he's had a lot of time on his hands,
Yeah, which explains reading Dostoevsky, because I'm like, that hurts my brains just to think about it. Like, Russian literature is its own kind of endurance contest. Like, I'd almost run an ultra marathon before I would do that.
Yeah,
and I like reading.
What did y'all think though of Flynn's philosophy though of just kind of like not doing anything? He's like, we're just gonna wait. And I felt like Sam was an interesting character to challenge him. Like, we got to do something here, man. Like, it's not like, just sit here and wait and hope that something's going to, like, we got to make our luck, here and actually, try for getting to the portal, try for this or that. And I felt like it was an interesting interplay between father and son where, the dad's trying to espouse, like we do, right? We try to espouse wisdom from what we've learned and what we know and our experiences. And our children are of course, a little more energetic risk takers, like they know best. And, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not right, but it was interesting. I thought it was a very interesting dynamic there, between parent and child. So,
T, do you want to take this one first?
Similar to, say, maybe a child forgetting their backpack.
We're not going to get into that one.
That wasn't directed at you, TJ. That's a whole other story.
Okay, you'll have to tell me this one then.
Here's the thing that I enjoy about this is like they're both right.
Yes. Yeah.
In this weird way, because what Flynn has been doing, what Kevin has been doing, has worked because he has not had access to get to the outside world.
Right.
So waiting and kind of waiting out Clue and just doing nothing keeps Clue from getting to the outside world.
Yeah.
But now that there is a way out, like doing nothing isn't exactly an option because all it's going to take is now for a push to find him or whatever. But at the same time, ultimately what Sam does is what is the undoing of this whole thing. Because if Sam did do nothing, well, they don't get back to the real world, but Clue doesn't find, Kevin Flynn's disc either.
Right.
By Sam taking off with the light cycle, they're then able to trace it back, find out where Kevin Flynn is, and he has to do something. Otherwise, Clue's just going to barge in and be like, hi-ho. So, I mean, they're both right. They're both wrong in a way. So it's like, in a way, it becomes this very human dilemma because there's so many times in life, and as a parent, like, yeah, the kid has a point. Yeah, the parent also has a point.
Yeah.
And depending on how things shake out, you can both be right and both end up being wrong too, which is such a great thing about being a human being is like, we did everything right and it still just turned to shit. And yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of, to me was a beautiful, bit of humanity in like a digital world.
Yeah.
I did,
as you were talking, there is an irony here though, because like what we see Kevin Flynn do, literally Kevin Flynn is really just abiding until, I mean, once again, the levels of Lebowski here are just killing me. So
if he'd been drinking White Russians, it would have,
I think he was drinking wine or something like that at the dinner table. I don't know.
Maybe.
Nonetheless. But yeah, TJ, thoughts on the Sam, the father-son, parent-child dynamic there?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing too is like, in many ways, like Clue is technically like a child to Flynn because he created him. And I also think there's like a big fear with Kevin where like he does not want to give Clue the chance at all, because then that kind of falls onto him. And I don't think he would be able to live with himself if Clue got out and started taking over the world like that he wanted to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like to a certain extent, like Sam, despite being very like wanting to take action, isn't always in the right with that, because then, that's the biggest risk because Clue just has people everywhere. Right. And I mean, I like after watching like Uprising, which kind of fills in the gaps between like when Clue takes over and like before like Legacy, he literally does have people like everywhere. Like it's impossible to escape him.
Yeah. And I did read something, I forget if it was Wikipedia or just another article I found that, I think part of the reason for bringing Clue into this is, I think Jeff Bridges was saying like, it's kind of that story of, you're more reckless when you're younger and you're more measured when you get older. Yeah. And so it was kind of showing that difference that, Clue was that version of him young who would take risks, take chances, be, somewhat calculated about it, but overall was just more, I think for Kevin Flynn, like the pursuit of perfection was kind of a conceit of his youth, and lack of experience. Only when he gets older does he realize that it's really not the pursuit of perfection. It's, it's embracing the imperfections and of course Clue is programmed to make this a more perfect system.
Yeah.
Which is all the more reason to keep him out of the earth, because if he were to make it back to the real world, he would just tear everything down, a la, Ultron. So,
yeah.
So basically in a lot of ways it makes sense why he's just been abiding, so to speak. But, as we get into this, and I love that interchange when when or that exchange that Kevin Flynn has with his son, where he's talking about he like gets upset with him, like because Sam talks about how Alan was paged and he came here because of that page, and he's like, no, that was Clue's way of like he's like, you're a piece on the chessboard now, like this is all a game that he's playing with Clue, and he's now afraid to make a move because he can't see where that move, part of chess is seeing 3 or 4 moves ahead to know what the result could be. And now, with Sam there, it really kind of screws things up for him. So,
well, it's because there's more to risk. Like
right.
I'd been asked, before, what would you love to do, for a career, or what would you love to do in music or this? And I was like, well, it's a different thing now. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're asking me when I'm 25 years old, the answer is totally different than what it is now. Like, I've got a family, I have a mortgage, I have responsibilities. And I think part of the further digging in on doing nothing is because now, before it's just like Kevin Flynn is like, the world is at stake, which is big enough. But now it's like the world and my son is directly at stake. Like, he is directly in the line of fire here, in immediate danger, and now I have to worry about that as well. So it's like, it somehow manages to raise the stakes on like, well, the world could end, which is impressive that you managed to raise the stakes on that one, because that's it's kind of elevated. But it is also interesting to me, like in the small things, like as you're saying, sir, the fact that you're more measured when you get older. When they have the elevator scene and they escape from the club and all of that, and it's like, what do we do? And he's like, we wait. And he's justified in taking that pause and having a breath and actually thinking through what the next step is, rather than just taking a run off the elevator and just going headlong. Like, and I've recognized that myself, like the number of times now that rather than just jumping into the next thing, I'm much more likely at almost 50 to just go, well, wait a minute, let me take 5 minutes here and see if there's another option that I'm just not thinking of. And usually there is. So again, it's one of those deals where it's like everybody can be various shades of right in this, but yeah, again, like the thing that got me about this movie is just how much it played with the human dynamic. I think it's why it's my favorite out of the 3 movies, is because there is so much humanity in this movie, even though it's about this digital gaming world. There is it,
which by the way
really
looked gorgeous.
Tackle. Oh,
like this version of the grid, of course, is like head and shoulders above what we had in '82. So
it's and outshines Ares, I think.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. Yeah,
this movie is beautiful visually. I think is just gorgeous, and I think partly because it's a mixture of the practical effects of the suit, like actually knowing the suits had the lights built into them, even though it was a gigantic pain in the ass because the batteries lasted for like a minute and a half, something like that. There's this huge pain in the butt around this thing, but the combination of the real, the practical, the digital, all of that, just it just works so well in this movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the part that I'm sure TJ wants to talk about. Tell us about the End of Line Club and your interest in that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that's also like definitely up there as like one of my favorite scenes. I mean, and I know you definitely want to get into it, but like, Castor as a character, hilarious. Like kind of just like a nice change of pace from everything that's been going on.
Who's that character? Michael Sheen.
Who? Michael Sheen?
Michael Sheen. Oh my gosh, that dude just made a meal out of that role. Like
looking like David Bowie.
No, he does. Like that's like, and then
just double fisting ham sandwiches. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful performance just because it's so over the top. I love it.
And then I also like the cuts, the various cuts to Daft Punk in like Tron versions of their robot outfits. Playing at the club, and I always like I've seen that scene so many times, and it still just like makes me smile when I see it.
I love how when the fight starts, they both kind of look at each other
Yeah.
and start like grooving to this. Like,
and
just
then
throw
they
some music on.
change the music. Yeah.
And then you got Castor, and I was telling TJ this last night. We were talking, and I'm just like, what cracked me up was like Castor just kind of like dancing while all of this like fighting is going. It's like, ha, and just like, and it doesn't feel like ridiculous or out of place. Yeah,
he's absolutely just a maniac, and I'm like, I love this.
So good. Oh yeah. And the end of Lion Club, and then the other part that cracked me up. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but so. They're battling for whatever, and then Kevin Flynn shows up and kneels down and shuts everything down or something like that.
Does his Neo routine, the Matrix.
Right. Well, then he gets Sam and Cora freed up, and they go to leave. And I don't know if you noticed, but he does this thing where he's just like, la la, and then he like walks out, and then of course Rinsler like throws a line and snags his disc. But what was up with him like throwing his arms out like he's the wizard or something like that? It was,
you notice on the side like a couple of the programs are like kneeling down. To me, like the way he had his hands out, it was almost like he's like blessing the programs going out. It was.
I mean, to that like to a certain extent, not anymore because of Clue, but to a certain extent, he is like God to them because he built the grid.
I see.
Well, at what point wasn't Castor saying something about our creator? And
oh
my gosh.
Yeah. No, he was great. Michael Sheen was amazing as that character.
That was like one of the most memorable characters in the movie. Period. Just
the music was definitely an upgrade from '82. I got to tell you. Like I like the music in the club. I like and you had said TJ Daft Punk not only did like their style of music, but I read they also brought in like orchestral music, like they did the whole score, right?
Yeah, well, they were originally only supposed to do one track, and I think at some point like when they eventually were gonna get brought on to do the whole thing, and they like wanted to hear what the plot was, and then once they were like, okay, like this is a good plot, we want to do this, like that got them on board to doing it. And then like the mixing of the orchestral with like the electronic music is just it feels good. It feels really good, and is honestly like what I really wanted in the original Tron with Wendy Carlos, especially considering that she is like I said last week, like kind of like this prodigy of the Moog modular. So it's like the fact that she didn't incorporate it as much, like I think she did to an extent, but obviously things were also a little bit more limited. It was probably harder to record a synthesizer with an orchestra, but yeah, the music for Legacy is like I feel like definitely kind of part of like what defines it, because it is just like there's one of the scenes that I always think about is the Son of Flynn track with this like arpeggiating chord thing while Sam is like driving on his motorcycle through the city, like weaving through traffic, and it's like just like the music just always fits the scene like super well, and I always like it. And like End of Line, like that's when they kind of go more into like their dance music kind of stuff, and it works well. But they really do know like what kind of music was needed for each scene. It's not just all like electronic dance music like what they were doing before then. At that point, it's it's a good mixed bag, and I think it it makes the score like super listenable, like even outside of the movie.
Well, I think the score almost becomes, in the same way that we've talked about in different movies, like, New York or Philadelphia. It's a character.
Yeah,
and I feel like the music in this is, in a weird way, I don't know if I'd describe it as a character, but it becomes almost like a special effect. It is part of this. It is part of the landscape. Like it's like almost like if you had an additional dimension to what you're watching. Like it's weird. Like it is so, the synergy between what you're seeing and what you're hearing is so tightly knit. I don't know there's many other movies that I've watched where I'm like, I can't imagine what else you would have put in this. Like the closest I can maybe come to it is like the original Star Wars and John Williams' score for that. Like, I don't know how you would have done this differently. I really can't imagine Star Wars without a full-on orchestral score like that. I can't imagine Tron Legacy without the Daft Punk soundtrack. I can't. It would it probably could work, but it wouldn't have worked as well. I don't think.
I also definitely think the way the sound effects kind of play with it too. You know, when I was taking like film scoring, there's a whole thing kind of discussion about like when the music is in like being played in the scene versus it being like over the scene kind of thing. And I think a lot of like the light cycle sound effects and like, you know, disc sound effects can kind of lend themselves to blending with the score. And I definitely think that's also why, you know, the score is so immersive, is because whatever is happening on screen mixes with the music in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immersive is a great word for that. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. What are your thoughts on the ISOs? The miracle, if you will. I mean, it's what we end up finding out is who Cora is. She is the last of the ISOs, which I thought they did a pretty good job of kind of, you know, the horror of what happens when Clue kind of betrays him and, you know, destroys them all. Because apparently there's some sort of life form that just kind of sprung up out of nowhere. Or as Kevin Flynn puts it, you know, they just kind of appeared based on timing and environment. But thoughts on that? It's kind of interesting.
I mean, from my perspective, I think it's interesting from the concept of like, here's the guy who created this world and who has actively been creating it, because the way that I kind of justify the fact that it looks so different from 1982 Tron is like the fact that like Kevin Flynn's been in there for an awfully long time. And if he has the ability to change things and the ability to just manifest whatever he wants in this world, like he's been coloring in the details of this just, I mean, out of sheer boredom. You know what I mean? Like, got to have something to do. You can only read so much Dostoevsky and Jules Verne, you know? So, I mean, I love the fact that even within that, with someone who has control over this, the fact that there is something that happens that is unexpected to him, to the person who built this. And to me, it's like, that is the wonderful thing about creativity in general. I relate it to like songwriting or writing or whatever, where you do something and it surprises you. It's like, where the hell did that come from? Like I'm not that good, or I'm not that clever. Like I legit don't know where that line came from, or I don't know where that idea came from, or whatever. I just love that as kind of an addition in there of like being surprised by something that supposedly you had all the control over, but then all of a sudden there's this thing that you're like, sure. Why not? You know?
Yeah. It's, you know, I think for me, that's kind of one of the, you know, it's interesting, and, you know, Sam ends up, you know, by virtue of what he does, getting her out. But it was one of those kind of loose ends that I don't think was explained very well. And I don't know. I mean, I want to be careful because I don't like things necessarily over explained all the time, but at the same time, it's like, what's the significance of this? You know, like, great, she's this new life form that gets brought into the, I mean, even the whole transition from the digital world back to the real world, I thought was kind of odd, because I would have expected her to have appeared with him, and yet she's somewhere outside, you know, just kind of hanging out. It's very, I don't know, it's very strange how that was done.
What do you mean?
So when Sam comes back, when he goes through the portal and comes back to Kevin Flynn's lab in the Flynn building, she's not with him.
Oh, well, no, I take that as like they came back and then he's come back to the place again. Like there's been time passage between when he was lazed back into the real world and when that scene takes place. Cause
that's what I thought too. That's what, because he has that little like disc where he downloads like the grid or whatever onto that little chip. And I think.
Oh, I thought he appeared and then did that and deactivated.
No. The grid. It is kind of abrupt. I like it, like, so I think it can be like very confusing, but no, I believe he comes back to get like download that little grid onto that chip, and then
because he seems surprised to see Alan when he comes out, right? Like
no,
Alan's in the arcade when he comes out of the lab.
Well, yeah, but he would have paged him because Alan's sitting there looking at the pager.
Oh, okay.
That's how, at least that's how I read it. And by the way, here's another reason why I love this friggin' movie.
Mm-hmm.
The moment when Sam goes into the arcade, powers it up,
get
Journey playing.
Yep.
That sequence of him going into that tunnel and the video game closing behind him. First time I saw it, I'm like, I got friggin' chills, and I don't like Journey as a band, but yet here I'm like, something's gonna happen. I can't wait. Like I was leaning forward in my seat. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Damn it.
Yeah. All right, and I have to ask: does the name Rinsler bother anyone when it comes to like? It feels like more work to say that than Tron. You know what I mean?
You can't just say it's Tron though, because it's not it's like not really Tron anymore.
Then call him not Tron or something like that.
That's
you know what I mean?
no.
Like Rinsler sounds like an attorney's name on some Bartholomew Rinsler and Simon or something like that.
Well,
like
I wanted to also mention this when you were talking about like the ISOs and the stuff, but Tron Uprising kind of shows like the active like killing of the ISOs. Like there is one of the characters who's works under Clue. She's like a medic, and basically two ISOs, one of them being Cora, like ask for help, and then basically because she helped them out, like her entire crew gets killed. This nurse or this medic's crew gets killed, and she thinks it's the ISOs, and so it's also like a scapegoating kind of thing in a lot of ways. And I find that interesting because it's not far off from reality, how reality works too, where people try to scapegoat on a group of people like without trying to figure out what's going on. And but yeah, like even with Uprising 2, like a big part of that story is Tron doesn't actually like die when he battles Clue, when like Clue betrays him, like them.
Right.
Like he basically like has like a Bacta tank almost, where he like he has scars and he's able to like kind of fix them heal them that way. And like he's older, and so he's teaching like the main character Beck, it becomes like the next Tron. But there's this period of time where like Tron is in hiding. He's survived it, and because we never got a season 2, like we don't know how he became Rinsler, but there is like this gap where he I think like kind of knows that his time is up, and so he's trying to train like a new Tron, which is Beck. And it's really interesting to see, and I kind of wish we did get that season 2 because I mean like all of Tron's like programs that he was friends with all got like brainwashed by Clue,
right?
And that's like also why he's like super upset about that. And
so help me understand, how does Kevin Flynn know that it's Tron toward the end? Is it because of his fighting stance? Is it because he's using 2 discs? Like it was just kind of weird at the end when Cora is kind of running out there and Rinsler is fighting her, and he just is like, oh, it's Tron. And I'm like, how the hell did he know? Like, he didn't take his helmet off, like. I
mean, like, well, considering that he and Tron were like working together to like build the grid to begin with, I feel like, there is like that gut instinct. But also, I mean, one of the most obvious signs, which because Legacy was the first movie I watched, came as a genuine shock, is he has the T imprinted on his chest, which is exactly what his character in the original Tron has that T as well. It's just orange now.
I see. Okay.
So like you're kind of rewarded by watching the first Tron. It does kind of spoil that, but it's like, oh, this is like Tron. This is supposed to be what like Tron becomes, sort of thing.
I see. Okay. And correct me if I'm. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a bit of irony with Clue being yellow, because if I remember right, reading about the 1982 Tron, I believe initially the good guys were supposed to be yellow and the bad guys red. And then they switched the good guys to blue. And so it's kind of funny that Clue ends up being yellow because he's the bad guy.
Yes.
Acting like the good guy for everyone else except for, Kevin Flynn and others and that sort of thing. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So
that is a nice little Easter egg.
It is a little Easter egg.
I just find you're just genetic distaste for the name Rinsler is just.
I don't like it.
Like that is the nit you choose to pick.
It's a cool name. Why are you so upset about it?
Calling him Shatron or something like that. You know, I mean,
Shatron.
That's too obvious. That is
Rinsler. Rinsler. It sounds like something you do to a washcloth. I'm gonna go Rinsler the washcloth.
Oh my gosh.
What? I don't like it.
It's a cool name, and you need to understand that.
I don't like it. Call him Tron. Although
you're sounding more and more like old man yells at clouds
by
the second. Good God.
Although he does fall into the sea of simulation, so we don't know what happens to him, do we?
We don't.
But in theory, and tell me if I have this right, but Sam does shut down that grid, though, right? Like at the end of the movie, that grid is disabled, right? It's not running.
We don't really know.
I mean, it's on that little necklace doohickey thing, so I mean...
Okay.
Who knows?
Interesting.
And much like you, I believe TJ said in the first movie, if you thought there wasn't a whole lot of Tron in this movie, just wait.
Yeah.
And then if you thought there wasn't a lot of Tron and Legacy, oh boy, have we got another movie for you.
This one, I'm telling you, this trilogy has done a disservice to the man they call Tron.
It's such a cool name. It's a cool character, and yet they just
feature him.
I don't know why. Because I really like Tron. Tron's super cool. And, I think part of me does wish that he ended up kind of like being a bigger character in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the direction they went with him with Rinsler. And I mean, Rinsler in and of itself is like super cool. Like the scene where he's fighting Sam Flynn in the disc arena is just, that's such a fun scene where like Sam tries the old hit the glass to try to make the person fall through, but Rinsler doesn't fall for that. And, he's a fun character. I do wish there was more Tron, but I also feel like if they went that direction, I feel like either him becoming Rinsler or him going from Rinsler into Tron and still being alive by the end of the movie would kind of ruin it a bit. I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion of that.
Yep. All right, we talked about the dude a little bit. By the way, was this the biggest waste of Cillian Murphy in this movie as Julian Dillinger? Like he shows up for like a moment and is gone.
I didn't realize that was him. He looks so different. Like he does look like very different compared to some of like the other movies he's been in. So I was like, he looks like him, but he doesn't exactly feel like Cillian Murphy. But yeah, it's him. And I mean, it is kind of strange that they only kept him in for a few minutes.
It's like we had to work the Dillinger name in there just because it's like, haha, he's still there,
I do kind of wish that he made a return for Ares. I can understand why they didn't. They probably wanted to make it as viewable on the first go as possible, like they did with Legacy, but
yeah,
I don't know. I wish they brought him back. I think he would have actually probably done a really good job.
Yeah. I agree that it is odd. It did, and he is kind of unrecognizable. Like it really looks like you were they said, let's get somebody who looks like Cillian Murphy, and then they're like, that is him. They're like, you kidding?
Yeah,
it is. We got him. And the biggest waste of Cillian Murphy is the Dark Knight movies where you have Scarecrow who has two really good scenes.
Scarecrow as Judge in the last movie there.
Yeah,
that's a good
two
scene.
really good scenes, and then that's it. That's all you do with him. But I mean, even in this movie, it's another example. You give this guy a minute and a half of screen time, and he does manage to make an impact. That whole say it's a free gift or whatever. Just the way he, I'm like,
no, he is like a pompous jerk,
scumbag, douchebag. Just instantly, I'm like, I don't like this guy.
No,
and that's his whole job. So he mission accomplished.
And I got to tell you, as someone who works in the technology,
actually, the security guard gets more time than him, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
As someone who works in the technology space, I cannot tell you, as cool as it may look, I cannot tell you how much it bothers me to see people typing on flat surfaces with no tactile keys or anything. This would not work. It is why it is not something we use today. You need hardware keyboards.
Well, the fact
that you don't write on an iPad. You don't type on a big iPad or something like that.
It feels unnatural.
You don't type on it, so it's like flat like this, so you can barely see what the hell you're doing. Like T-Rex arms.
Like it'd be like a T-Rex. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But aside from that, I mean, we got the really big door again, so that was kind of cool.
That's true.
We did go, the big door.
I got to tell you though, thank goodness we have at least a practical use of a recognizer in this movie where you see it land, you see like it comes down, like there's actually like here it is as an actual vehicle, not some sort of gimpy, like whatever it did in the original Tron. Oh my God,
that was the best they could do. But the first time when they bring that sucker down, and it
was glorious.
Oh yeah, and again, this was the first Tron movie that I watched. And just watching that, I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like the scale and the scope of it was.
But seriously, it takes it from looking like a joke to making it look like something like serious.
Well, it only looks like a joke because we're in the 21st century. Like you go back and look at video games at that time. I had video games at that point that I was trying to run on my parents' IBM desktop, and they kind of looked like that.
I was kind of hoping for another appearance by Pac-Man in this movie, but
that's
all right. I do want to ask.
Well, actually, wasn't the Pac-Man game in the arcade? Did we get a little side door appearance?
Might have been. I got to ask: was it sacrilegious for them to use the name Jarvis in this movie, given the beloved Marvel character who became Vision?
Wait. When did they use Jarvis?
That is the name of Clue's right-hand man.
That's right.
The guy who had the mask and was kind of like, basically his like administrative assistant, if you will. His name was Jarvis.
He's doing the same role Jarvis did, but just for Clue this time.
I know, but not nearly as cool as Paul Bettany did. So
yeah, I know.
Oh no, but he's got his own vibe. I love how
he does.
Sleazy,
he is funky. He is funky.
He's like the most used car salesman of all used car salesmen. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love at the end where I always believe in the users, and then death to the users, and he de-reses
That's
them
right.
anyways. I was like, you know what? I'm sad to see him go. He was a hoot while he was here.
No, he was so good. I liked him. Yeah,
swarmy as swarmy can be.
We have a user.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It's like I just love how they did. They basically it was like the instructions for him and Castor are like, you know what? Just go for it. I'm not going to tell you to rein it in at all. Just do whatever the hell you want. And they're like, sweet.
I feel like it paid off. I feel like it was really good.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a great.
All right. So then the $1 million. Is there anything about the background of this movie, TJ, that we haven't talked about that you wanted to mention? Anything of note before I ask, questions such as, was this a proper follow-up to Tron, that sort of thing?
I don't think I have anything on the background, so yeah, I think we can move on.
We talked about the music. I mean, obviously the special effects here was probably rendered using standard technology of the time. It didn't seem like it was this clearly wasn't a fully CGI'd version of the grid. It seemed like they were using some real sets and as Uncle Todd mentioned, we had costumes that were being lit with batteries that lasted all of a minute, apparently, which plays very nicely into the Ares story. But anyways,
I will say too, I think like the look.
We need the permanence code, ladies and gentlemen.
You had a car battery to walk around with.
I'll say like the look of the grid too, I think really like adds to like the memorability of the movie. Like the fact that it isn't just like, because the other grid is kind of like, obviously it's
two-dimensional.
The 80s. But it's like, kind of white mixed with the color. And this is like black mixed with it. And I just feel like that meshes a lot nicer. It's like when you turn your browser into dark mode, it feels a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
I feel like it just highlights the color that much more compared to like using lighter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I know we did talk about, some of the production notes and things of that nature. One thing I read this morning that was kind of interesting was Steven Lisberger, who was the director of the original Tron, was consulted for this, but did not play like a huge role in terms of, direction or production. As he kind of put it, at his age at this point, he was not in the kind of state he was in back in the early 80s to want to sit in front of a monitor for 12 hours a day. So he was happy to just kind of give some notes and kind of leave it at that. And but I thought it was kind of cool that they had pulled him in as, you know, kind of a consultant on the film. So
did he get a producer or an executive producer credit on this?
Because
sometimes I think the biggest differentiation there is how much money did you put in.
It says produced by, and he is one of the names listed, Steven Lisberger.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he is listed as a producer.
There's some sort of differentiation there. There, like with all the stuff, it's like, you know, story by, you know, or script by or whatever. Like there's these subtleties of like how you're credited that are like, I don't even. I'm dubious as to how many people actually understand it. Sort of like Hollywood accounting. Like anyone who actually knows how it works, chances are they're gaming the system.
Yeah. I mean, one interesting thing I read about Legacy was that the director, I think it was the director. Let me just double check this.
It's a first time director. So you have Tron, first time live action directing, and then you have this guy. It was his first feature film, and it was something. I believe it was like the highest budget that had ever been given to a first time director.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went over budget.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it sounds like
freaking amazing.
It sounds like they consulted Lisberger for the story, but he gave it his blessing, particularly as he has a son the same age as Sam, which Kitsis, who is one of the writers, Edward Kitsis, stated was like we had tapped into something he was feeling without even realizing it. There was something else I wanted to touch on though that had to do with.
You remember Doc Cottle's in this, right?
He is.
Yeah, he plays Kevin Flynn's father in the opening scenes when they cut into the living room.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Good old. He wasn't smoking. That's why you didn't recognize him.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. So I think the director Joseph Kosinski, he had directed several CGI commercials, but this was his feature directorial debut. Apparently Disney was kind of pushing like a Matrix-like story for this sequel, and what he did was he basically asked them for a small sum of money to go essentially what he did was he approached this like an engineer. He wanted to build a prototype and show them how he was envisioning what this could be, and when they saw it, they kind of went with what he wanted to do, which I thought was kind of interesting because that is a very software development sort of approach to things or an engineering approach is to just, you know, build an actual prototype to prove out the larger concept that you're trying to do to show the you know, reality of it all. And so I thought that was really cool because apparently Disney was all hung up on the Matrix and wanting to, you know, kind of have Tron be like that, which I get. But then when they saw what he was going to do here, it was off to the races after that. So.
I remember seeing like the concept test and stuff like a while ago. It's very interesting because they're on YouTube. You can look at them. It's super interesting to see.
Yeah.
You know, kind of the early like kind of pilot stages of it.
And Jeff Bridges did bring apparently some Buddhist philosophy and some Buddhist texts into all this because, you know, you got to have the dude in there somewhere, man. So
the Flynn abides, man.
The Flynn abides. So was this a proper follow-up to Tron, and did it improve upon the universe?
Yes and yes.
All right, there we go.
I feel like when you go to a Tron fan and you say, "Let's watch Tron," like this is the movie they pick. Like,
okay.
I feel like this is just like the most Tron feeling movie. I feel like it looks the best. You know, obviously there was only 2 movies to go, you know, pick back then, but you know, now there's 3, and I still feel like this one is like the best, you know, the top of Tron. You know, I think the story is very rough. I think the dialogue can be very rough at some points.
What do you? I'm just kind of curious. What do you think is what nits would you have to pick with a story?
It just feels basic. Like it's just kind of like, oh, let's go here. There's like some cool moments, and the locations they go to are really cool. Yeah.
So one thing I read on the Wikipedia page is that there is a Wizard of Oz element to this story, and what the writers decided to do was to make it a journey where Sam is trying to get back home. And so, and I'm not saying that's why it feels basic, but I just wanted to bring that up because it is, it served as inspiration, which is funny because the two writers, what are their names? Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. They ended up moving on to do the series Once Upon a Time, which was a show about fairy tale characters kind of living in the real, like basically it was almost like Lost with fairy tale characters. They forgot who they were and they were living in the real world, functioning as, individuals in our world, forgetting what their past life was as a fairy tale character, which was kind of funny. So it is kind of interesting that those writers would choose a fable like Wizard of Oz to kind of pattern the story a little bit off of, which, it's not obvious. It's not like, oh yeah, I see Sam meeting, the Tin Man and meeting, the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
It's not like that, but it is that concept of always trying to like make your way home. And
yeah, I don't necessarily think even like that's the problem, because I actually think I'm kind of glad that like none of this, like besides like the beginning and like a sliver of the end, like there isn't a scene where Clue manages to get out and they have to push him back in. Like I feel like if Legacy was made today, they would do something like that. And I'm very happy they didn't, because I think like the feel of the grid is just so like integral to Tron. But I don't know, it just kind of feels like a, we're doing this now we have to go here, like almost like, in video games you have like fetch quests where you just have to go after something and you have to keep going and grabbing things, and that's kind of what it feels like. But I think because the locations are so interesting that it's not as big of an issue. Like End of Line Club, Flynn's hideout, the game arena, even when they're on like the Solar Sailor and going to like the Axis Point, I think that the locales are interesting enough, but it does just kind of feel like, okay, we're going here now we're going here. And I mean, as for just the dialogue, like it gets really corny, and I do like it because of that. Like for my capstone project in college, I did the light cycle scene, and it was pretty awkward.
Todd, like Uncle Todd, that was the scene that TJ did for the capstone, was that whole light cycle like sequence and doing all the dialogue and all the music. It was really cool. It was really cool.
But because I played Sam Flynn in that, and doing some of his lines, like it was kind of hard not to laugh because they were just like kind of awkward. Like,
let's go.
Or he's like another customer. Let's go. Like it's just like, I like that it's corny, but at some points it might get a little too corny.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I also feel like it's not a Tron movie if it isn't corny at this point.
True.
It's kind of like Rainier Wolfcastle from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
It's like, hasta la vista, baby.
On closer inspection, these are loafers.
That's right.
I guess the story to me worked because I'm so thinking of it as like a video game world, so that it makes perfect sense to me that it's going to feel a bit more video game-ish in the kind of the way the story is shaped. But,
yeah.
All right. Well, to put a wrap on this. Oh, yes, sir.
I was going to say before we move on to Ares, I'm going to need to take a quick 30-second time out. So,
well, I want you to hear this real quick. But before we finish, Rinsler is a horrible name, and Kevin Flynn, deadbeat dad. That's all I'm going to say.
He was stuck.
Castor brilliant. And the dude abides always.
Well, good. I'm glad we can give you the final word on that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I will be back in a moment.
All right.
A few moments later.
All right, we have a full complement. Are we ready to advance forth onto Tron Ares?
Yes.
I suppose.
But that could have been anyone's ace. All right.
So, folks, let me just say this as we're transitioning into our take on Tron Ares. If you thought that the man they call Tim being upset by the name Rinsler was getting a little petty, buckle up your seats, because I'm about to go petty all over this thing. I've got some grievances. I've got some problems. I got
a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about them.
Oh, my gosh.
Festivus comes 1 month late, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
So if we look at just the ratings on IMDb, Tron Legacy is 6.8 out of 10. Where is the where do they show all the movies? Crap, I can't remember what the other two were, because before it was showing.
I pulled it up here. I have it on Wikipedia up here. Let me see the reception.
Oh, here it is. So Tron, the original, is 6.7. Tron Ares is 6.2. 6.2 is way too high for this movie to even be within the same point spread as Tron Legacy. To
I
me,
feel like Legacy should be higher up on the tier list there.
Yeah, it should.
Surprised by that.
It should be at least 7, and Tron Ares should be in the 5s.
I think
somewhere.
initially people didn't like Legacy, and I think definitely after like a decade, it's grown on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not dig this. I mean, let's put it this way: this movie had some very interesting ideas, but ultimately, I did not give half a shit about anyone in the flick. Like after going from like Tron Legacy and the kind of the bits of humanity that are in there to this movie, it's jarring how I'm like, just nuke the whole city. Like I could care less. Like I don't care about anybody in this flick. You know,
I've never. So I saw this movie in theaters like when it came out, and when I did, like I remember this because this is the first time I ever left a movie feeling this way. I never felt like the sense of like this was awesome, but this was also like the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen. Like it was like such a mixed. I had such a mixed bag where I like thoroughly enjoyed it, but like this is awful.
Yeah.
What was the awful? Was it the fact that the linkage between the three, you just felt this third one was not anything related to it, or
like things that give Tron like its identity were just not as present in this movie. Like a good majority of the film takes place in the real world, and I think it's cool, but at the same time I want like action on the grid, you know? That's like the whole point like of Tron is you go into a computer. And I mean personally too, it's like I don't like Jared Leto. I think he actually did a decent job in this movie compared to some of his other stuff. But I feel like a lot of the other actors, like I feel like Greta Lee didn't really do a good job, which kind of like sucks because
Greta Lee is amazing.
Some of her line deliveries are
movie,
like abysmal. Yeah, in this movie, some of her line.
I'm asking Tim, like, you think she's great in this movie or just in general?
In general, I think she's good. I thought she was good with her part. I mean, you know, okay, so I'm going to play the role of Uncle Todd here. If you're going to get like upset about cheesy lines and stuff like that, this is a movie about digital beings coming into the real world.
No.
Right?
Time out. It's not about It's not about the cheesy lines. It's the delivery of said lines. Like when she says she like broke her arm or something like that, she like did not try to like make it even like somewhat like it just seemed like she read it off a piece of paper. Like it didn't feel good. Like at least Sam like, you know, he had some oomph with his like lines, even if they were cheesy. Like if like it's like one of those things where if you don't commit to that, it's gonna fail. Like you have to be like committed to just like overacting, and it makes it funny because of that. Like I don't know. I just thought she didn't do as good of a job, and surprisingly, I thought Jared Leto did a decent job as Ares, but. I don't know. I also just feel like it was a big missed opportunity, and I've seen this online a lot. You know, in an era where we are currently in like an era of artificial intelligence, and it's like they kind of didn't really choose to give a message about like being human. Like it was more kind of like a pro-corporate standpoint, which I'm not surprised, but I kind of wish, you know, this could have been a really good moment, I feel like, for Tron to be like, you know, take a stance against this stuff, and I don't think they fully went for it.
Can I give some thoughts?
Okay, I was just gonna
go ahead, Uncle Todd. Go ahead.
I will briefly give my point and then throw it over to you, and I can elucidate further and elaborate on my points. To me, it's not about the cheesy lines or even the delivery. To me, it's just like there is no connective tissue to really either of the previous movies, and therefore all of these characters are just kind of thrown at us like, hey, and here's the characters of the story, and you should care about them. without giving us any reason why. Like, it's all like, and here they all are in the preamble of the movie.
Yeah.
And see, now you should care about them. And I'm like, I don't, because I just met them. There's like no history. And then you do nothing throughout the first third of the movie to really make them any kind of endearing to me. So yeah, go ahead, kill them all. I don't care. Like,
I agree with that too. I feel like I feel like within the movie they definitely could have, but like, you know, there was a whole segment where Jared Leto is like exposition dumping about Greta Lee's character. And it's just like, it doesn't hit as much, like, because he's like explaining everything to the audience. Like, instead of them, like, they definitely went for a tell, don't show instead of a show, don't tell. And it's bad, I think, because of that. Like, I don't care about Greta Lee, because it's like her character just kind of gets all this exposition thrown onto you.
Yeah. He's a less interesting Data.
Yeah.
But anyways, Tim, you.
Yeah. What do you want to say, Dad?
All right. So I just want to.
Here's where he's going to defend this.
No. I'm just going to rattle off some stats. So Tron Legacy grossed $410 million against $170 million budget. So clearly, cleared its budget with a plum. The reception on it, the Rotten Tomatoes score was 53%.
And this is Legacy?
Legacy is 51. I'm sorry, 51% was the Rotten Tomatoes of 249 critics' reviews being positive, with an average rating of 5.8 out of 10. The movie Tron Heirs was considered a box office bomb, grossing $142 million worldwide on a production budget of $180 to $220 million.
Yep,
estimated loss of $133 million for the studio. Its Rotten Tomatoes rating was 53% of 263 critics reviews being positive.
So wait, it's 2% higher than Legacy?
It is.
This is just wrong.
I feel like if they took those measurements now, I feel like Legacy would definitely be up. I think it didn't do so hot when it first came out, so like, but I don't know. I feel like
here's my thought. I felt this movie actually did more to kind of translate the digital world into the real world than the prior two movies. I thought this was a very interesting outing.
What?
Yes, it was. I thought it was an interesting outing.
You're barely in the digital world, and when you are in the digital world, it's the 1980s version of the digital world.
But
how does that translate to the real world?
Because of the fact that, you know, here we have a movie, a story about bringing, you know, these creatures or these objects into the real world and doing it in a what I believe to be a fairly, you know, grounded way of doing it. You know, you have the laser.
You enjoy CGI enhanced PowerPoint presentations about 3D printing. Good to know.
Well, I will say I do like the detail when they like take the programs out of, you know, the grid, how they have that like 3D printing kind of like mesh on them. I thought that was a really cool detail.
I thought it was an interesting evolution of the laser, where they are able to bring things from that world into the real world, materialize them. I thought it was a very, good, kind of story detail to have it be, there's that 29-minute time limit they have before they disintegrate.
I like that.
As far as the characters go, I don't have an issue introducing new characters and establishing, doing a little world building, in terms of the Greta Lee character and her sister.
All of them?
They just dumped it, though. It's not like they built her up to be interesting. Jared Leto just talked in a car for like 10 minutes about Greta Lee's past, and it's just like, this is so like anticlimactic. Like, show me this stuff. Don't just have Jared Leto be like, oh, blah blah blah. I love Depeche Mode. Like,
I actually thought this was a interesting story from beginning to end. I liked it.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
You are worse than a
Take your finger off that soundboard, sir.
You're wrong.
Oh my god.
Oh,
No, I of the three movies, I actually was like, I don't know. When I was watching this yesterday, I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I like where they're going with this. And you had an AI created, program that, because he was starting to kind of understand who she was, had empathy for her. I thought that was interesting, and he went against his programming and went against his creator. And
Ares is the most interesting part of the movie. I don't like Jared Leto, but
and he's not even that interesting, which says a whole lot.
Yeah, like it could have been better, could have been way better, yes. But like, I still think it is like the best. Like, I think that is like some of the better parts of the movie. I mean.
And then I love the fact that when he gets transported over to the Flynn grid, it's the old 1984 grid. We have, the little bit, yes, 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 no, that sort of thing. I thought that was cool. I thought it was funny to see him in the light cycle from the 1984 movie, which was, and it was a nice nod for him to go through the same crack that was there from the 1982 movie. My God, Jeff Bridges has aged.
And had a stroke, so keep that in mind as well.
He what?
He had a stroke.
Did he? Okay, did he actually?
Yes.
Like, okay, because when I was watching this in theaters, for some reason the mixing on it was really bad, because I could barely understand Jeff Bridges, but I think that was also because the music was like loud in that scene, and so in the theater, like, Jeff Bridges is already kind of like unintelligible. And then that with the loud music, it was like impossible to hear him sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like felt bad because I wanted to hear what he had to say, but.
And I gotta say, of the three movies, I think this version of Dillinger was more expounded upon than any of the prior movies when it comes to the Dillinger character.
Kind of.
His own creation ends up killing his poor mama. You know what I mean? I mean, have some sympathy for the. I mean, or not sympathy for him, but have some sympathy for her. Have some anger for him and his arrogance and his ambition.
Let's take this with a grain of salt. Let's take this with a grain of salt. You thought the Stranger Things season 5 finale was good.
It was.
It wasn't. So I don't know if I can trust your opinion on this either. Are you just doing this to be contrarian? Like,
I am not. I enjoyed the movie. I'm like, wow, here's a story. Here's an actual. I mean, Legacy had its own story. I'm not saying Legacy didn't.
But Legacy didn't explain like half the movie to you in a car scene. Like, well, let's be real.
What's the problem with a little exposition? Never hurt anyone. I'm just
because
saying.
It was too much exposition. And it just did not fit in the movie.
Watching Uncle Todd's face, just like he's bewildered.
I just don't know what to say. I'm questioning everything about our friendship. I'm questioning everything about this world. Like, am I really that far off the pulse I feel like I should just move to a cabin in Wyoming and become a hermit or something.
But okay, hold on.
Frack me.
This movie was really that bad?
Yes. The
It's
title character
story-wise
is emotionless
compared to the first movie and even the second movie. You're going to tell me that story was worse than the first movie?
It doesn't feel like a Tron movie.
Well, that the fact that Tron isn't in it, yes, I understand that.
That is kind of a dead giveaway, yes.
Fair enough.
It only takes place in the real world. I feel like the Dillinger grid, is all right looking. I don't like the Dillinger disc design. I think a triangle is interesting, but I think it's dumb. I do like that they brought back Master Control for it. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But like, the fact that most of the movie takes place in the real world is just lame. It's just like it doesn't make it stand out. And like, a part of the reason you watch Tron is for the visuals. And it's like, I feel like part of the reason why they did in the real world was to kind of like, make the visual easier for them.
I honestly think they did it in the real world because for two reasons. One, I think without a strong story to, have something happen in that digital world, they didn't go down that road. And secondly, that was this is an angle that hasn't been explored before. Everything has been about the human going into the digital world. They haven't done a story about the digital world.
That's why I'm watching the movie, to see a human go into a computer, not to see a computer run around. Like I could.
Well, I thought it was pretty damn impressive to see a recognizer go flowing through the city. You know,
not to pee in everyone's parade here, but the reason they did it mostly in the real world is budget.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because Disney did not want to go over budget like they did on Legacy because of all the effects. That is the real reason that it's staged mostly in the real world.
That's, you see, like if Disney just was willing to do that and they were able to make the grid effects, I feel like that would have probably made their money back a decent bit better than, you know, whatever. Because I don't feel like that's a draw. Like part of the draw of Legacy is like, you know, you're in a computer.
You got the Dillinger grid, you got the Flynn grid.
The Flynn grid is cool too, but it like to a certain extent feels like what a lot of companies do now, which is like nostalgia baiting. It's like, hey, remember this? Like I think they did a good job with the grid. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like cheap, but it in some ways just feels like a, hey, look it's the Dillinger or the Flynn grid. Look at all, you know, remember the bit, remember, you know, these, it kind of feels a little empty because of that. You know,
I feel like it is a program going to see its sensei and getting some, you know, knowledge dropped. Don't roll your eyes at me.
I will roll my eyes at you.
Come on now.
You're not the boss of me.
Good Lord. I mean, give me a break here, sir. This is not as awful as you're making it out to be.
Here's the thing. First of all, the human big bad, okay?
Yeah.
Dillinger Mark III or whatever the frack we're on. The fact is,
phenomenal character.
Number one, he is a mathematical impossibility because how old was the Dillinger character in Legacy? Did he have a kid when he was like 15 in order for him to be this old?
Charlie Chaplin had a child at the age of 70, I believe. So it could have happened.
We're talking the other end of the spectrum, or didn't you realize? But in order for this to happen, and then of course we don't even mention like what the hell happened to his dad. We just get the mom, who quite honestly is probably one of the characters like I actually felt like had a bit more personality aside from like, ooh, I'm rageful or I'm a psychopath. Like, okay, she at least had a little bit of range, but then when she dies, I'm like, well, it's too bad that we lost Scully, but oh well. You know, it's like at the end of the day, like her death did not mean anything.
Yeah.
It really didn't have any kind of impact. And I'm like,
it did mean something because his creation was out of control.
His creation was already out of control by that. And the fact is, like, they didn't even pause on that. They didn't take a lot of time for anything to actually happen for it to land. Like, there was no emotional impact. It was a cutscene from a video game. It just like, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
That's what I felt like with most of this movie was like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? Like, there was no like draw to the actual characters. You know, like for instance, we get the sisters who show up in the opening credits. Oh, they bought NCOM for reasons, and then one of them dies. Okay, well, I just met her and only saw her in a newsreel, so no great loss. And then we see her sister.
I felt her loss. Don't devalue the loss.
Stop lying.
You also have 2 championship belts that you like to flaunt around that you didn't win. So I mean, I'm just saying.
I did win them, my friend. I earned them.
Visually, the film is far less interesting than either of the previous ones. It's not revolutionary in the effects like the first one was. It's not as beautiful as the second one was. It's like just kind of throwing stuff into the real world, which at the same time is like we've seen this in any number of movies. We've seen extraordinary things happening, and it's like, oh, now we're having Tron things in the real world. I'm like, okay, in and of it, if it attached to a story that had characters that I cared about, okay, that could be cool. But at the same time, I have seen New York leveled by aliens at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Like,
excuse me, they did not level the city. They did not level the city,
which is even more so because again, it becomes more of that video game trope
Ares
of like
fought for the user.
We're in an empty city. There's no people. There is no lived-inness to the city. Like there's no one there. There's all this damage happening and nothing's happening. Like how is that possible? And honestly, like
what do you mean? There's nothing happening. There's news reports of chaos in the city,
but there's no people.
There's no people.
There's no people showing up.
There are people.
Okay.
There were people.
Maybe in your head. Maybe in your head there was people.
But I thought there were people.
Here's the other part: is like the fact that they by putting it in the real world, all of that it makes the effects look cheaper.
Yeah.
It really felt like a direct to Netflix sort of thing here. The music pretty good, not nearly enough to carry the film.
See, I have to disagree there, but I can hold off for now.
it just didn't feel as synergistic, and I'm like, I feel like the kind of the references, they were cute the second time around, but when you're pulling them out the third time around and we get the third iteration of it's all on the wrist, like you didn't earn that. Like you're not even part of you're just someone who got thrown in here and you're a character that no one gives a crap about. Like it becomes ham-fisted parody, like pandering to the audience at that point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that like you're referencing the second film, but yet you're trying to do a soft reboot, so there's no connection to the second film. To me, is again just lame. Like why?
Well, I mean, I felt the same way as well. I thought it was ridiculous they didn't have a tighter connection to the second film, but until I got to the end of the movie where you see Ares, he has a photo of Quora and seems like he's trying to connect with her, connect with Sam. So it seemed like they left the door open if there were to be a follow-on movie to maybe bring those things together. But I agree, up to that ending point, I was kind of like, what the heck, because you basically threw out whatever capital you created from the second movie.
Well, it's going back to our discussion for Wednesday's show. Legacy was almost like The Last Jedi, and it's like some executive at Disney was like, "Hey, you know what movie I really liked? The Rise of Skywalker. Let's make Tron Ares The Rise of Skywalker, and like let's just do away with kind of the interesting stuff we did, and then." Hey, here's like almost like they did in Rise of Skywalker. Here's Star Wars. You like Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Here's more Star Wars. Let me shove Star Wars into your face and you'll like it. Here, more Star Wars. Like, well, I don't give a crap about any of these people.
Here's a scene where the knife lines up with the Death Star perfectly.
I mean, let's just do all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but I do like it, but I kind of also like it to make sense and to care about the characters. I'm foolish that way. But anyways,
I respectfully disagree.
Well, I disrespectfully disagree. I thought it was a steaming pony loaf of a movie.
You can you can disrespectfully disagree, but I am the better man because I'm being respectful. and there's no belts over my shoulder, my friend. I'm not trying to, you know how it is.
I don't know that I'm going to make it another 2 recordings alcohol free if you're going to keep up this shenanigans. I'm just telling you.
Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna have a bong the size of a friggin' redwood tree behind me next time. I'm gonna take up weed smoking.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like definitely where the first thing is I feel like in a lot of parts, like obviously I don't really like the writing of this movie, but I feel like there are some scenes that are kind of like these like hype scenes that when I was in the theater I was kind of like, this is kind of cool. And I think also too, like some of the music kind of definitely plays into that. Like the scene, like the very beginning shot where you have Dillinger typing on the computer, and the minute he presses enter, it begins the first track, and it like is going into the computer. I thought that was like, that kind of gave me chills when it started. Like that I mean, even though I was disappointed by the movie, that like set me up to be like, okay, like I'm enjoying this.
I enjoyed in the beginning of the movie all the iterations of Ares. Like that's what that was, right? I mean, it was Ares getting the crap kicked out of him, learning every iteration. He's making changes. Yeah. Ares is getting better, learning.
But I've seen The Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, I've watched that movie.
I haven't, so it didn't spoil
you ought
my
to.
viewing of this.
They do it a whole hell of a lot better than they did in this movie.
Oh my god!
But like the other scene that I go back to with this movie is the scene where Ares fights Athena after he gets like the permanence code. Because that plays like another, because the track that plays in the beginning is called In It for, initializing, and that theme comes back and it gets really catchy. Because when I was first listening to the score, because they released it before the movie, at first I was kind of like, this is all right, but like it's dissonant in a way that like Daft Punk didn't really get to, and I think it fits the theme of the movie, despite the fact that I don't like that it enters the real world. I think the industrial sound of Nine Inch Nails works because they are in the real world, and it's like technology moving into the real world. I think it fits a little better, and even in some cases it's kind of odd because they don't use any orchestra really. It's mostly just electronic sounds, and so it's kind of like you go from having all orchestra to like a mix to like basically none. I think the music's pretty good. Do I put Nine Inch Nails above Daft Punk? No, but I think I think they definitely kind of did their due diligence. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think they were definitely thinking about that, because in some ways it feels like an extension of Daft Punk, while not inherently being a copy of them. But the other scene I go back to is when the track New Directive plays, and it's like, Ares, kicking butt with the permanence code now, and he's like, the way the beats hit while he's like doing that, I like that scene a lot too. And I think a missed opportunity that I think would have been really cool is, and I was telling my dad about this, a few days ago, like when Athena says like, what's your purpose? I feel like it would have been a really cool moment where, Ares says like, I serve the user, or something like that, which
no, I can see that.
It kind of goes against what the whole film was about, but I feel like by making him like, by passing the mantle of Tron to like Ares, I felt like that kind of would have been cool. Considering Tron isn't in the movie at all, I feel like
it would have at least tied it back to the original source material in some way.
Yeah, and so like I know, I was telling Dad like it's like a Dread Pirate Roberts thing where Tron isn't necessarily just a person. I mean, even Tron like Uprising goes into this, because Beck isn't Tron, but he dons Tron's armor. He acts as Tron, and Tron recognizes that he is like a symbol rather than just a person. So I feel like that could have worked a lot better, and they didn't go for that, and I was very upset about that, because I was like, that felt like a low-hanging fruit that could have definitely like made the movie a little bit more interesting. If you're not going to have good writing, you can always make up for it by having hype moments, I feel like sometimes. But yeah, that was kind of my whole thing. It's just like there were some missed opportunities I felt like they could have done to make the film a little more gripping. And they just didn't go for it, and I think that kind of suffered because of it.
Yeah.
All right. We really didn't talk much about the story, though.
Again, it feels like
there is no story.
There is a story. You have so
it's an interesting concept, but again, like I can tell you any story, but if you don't, every story is kind of basically the same. Or you can make cases like there's variations of different stories. What makes it interesting, like Star Wars, is a hero's journey. What makes it interesting is you actually care about Luke. You care about Leia. You care about Han.
I cared about Greta Lee's character.
I'm glad you did. I don't know why.
She
but
lost her
glad
sister.
You did.
She was a mourning individual.
Off screen. Most of this stuff that happens is off screen. So, like, how is me as a viewer supposed to care? Because it happened off screen.
Because it happened in a Quonset hut in Alaska. That's why you should care.
You're complaining about this, but you're okay watching Jeff Bridges spread eagle with his legs up, getting zapped by a laser and going into a computer.
Yes.
Then it's okay.
Then it's okay. It's funny. It is funny.
Because it's 1982, and that was cutting edge at the time. Like you can't compare 1982 directly to 2025, sir. Come on.
I keep going back to this.
I can compare it because it's...
Okay, and if you do...
You can't accept a story, but you can't accept absurdity. I don't understand that.
No. Because the scene where they're in the car and Ares is like describing like all the stuff that Greta Lee went through, like It's boring. It's boring.
It's not boring. He understands her. He's he's identifying with the human condition.
No, he's not. He's just exposition dumping. He doesn't feel. The only thing he feels is that he wants to listen to Depeche Mode. Like, that's the only thing. Like, it doesn't work as a story.
I did like that he's a fan of the 80s. I like that. So.
But that also kind of goes back to what Todd was saying with like the pandering. In some ways, it does feel like you're pandering to the older audience.
I like Tron Ares. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay,
that's all there is to it. I thought it was a interesting story, reversing the flow, reversing the stream from digital to real world. I thought it was great. It was a interesting story about, if they could use tech to like I thought the idea of like Dillinger trying to like whet the appetite of the government, saying I can make any weapon for you at any time and repurpose, create the soldier over and over and over again. I mean, it's a nightmare scenario, but it's like I don't know. I felt in that universe it was interesting. It's like someone trying to use the technology in a way that Flynn didn't intend.
I would agree. It's a totally interesting concept that just for me falls flat because I don't care about any of the characters that like you set up this great idea and yet then you put the most boring ass, lame one or maybe in some cases two-dimensional characters within this universe, and then are like, "Isn't it great?" Like, no, it actually is. Okay, let's put it in terms that might resonate with you.
It's going to go to wrestling, TJ.
Let's just say that in wrestling there was no Attitude Era, and we continued onward with the gobbledygooker Isaac Yankem.
Oh, stop it! That's not even the same thing.
It is, because we're talking about one and two-dimensional characters instead of actually getting to characters who represent closer to being what personalities of actual people are.
I feel like some of these characters were that.
And that's great if you think that. I mean, I totally disagree. Like, none of them resonated with me. I felt like it was lazy. Like, it was just and ultimately it is kind of a cash grab by Disney because they really wanted to have more movie out there because they've got the light cycle roller coaster down in Florida and I think
they're closing that though. I'm pretty sure they're shutting that down.
They are?
The light cycle?
They spent a metric butt ton of money to build it.
I think so, or at the very least they took off like the cool Ares like stuff. But I thought
I mean that makes sense.
I like that denomination, a metric butt ton of money.
Dude,
I'd like you to do a currency exchange on that, sir.
So
doubloons.
If you look at it, and the last time we were in Disney, they had it finished because when we'd gone there before, they had not finished it. Building of that coaster is massive. So it actually goes outside the berm of Disney World, and so they had to shut down like the railroad that goes all the way around because they actually had to sever that track. It goes outside of the original footprint of the park.
Wow.
And you walk under it, and it has like this canopy that's like LED and all that. Like it's an amazing bit of engineering, and they definitely invested a ton of money, and it's been very well received in terms of like a coaster. And they have it in Florida. They don't have it in California because they ain't got no room for it, I don't believe. And I think it might be like in the Hong Kong Disney or something like that, or somewhere in Pacific Rim Asia. And one of the stated reasons for kind of greenlighting this after not having greenlit anything else for Tron for a while was like, hey, well, we have these rides, we should have more property to go along with this. And unfortunately, this is what we got.
All right. Well,
I respect your opinion, sir. All my joking aside, it's just it didn't.
I don't respect it at all.
Damn.
Enough out of you.
Go ahead. No,
the next major holiday is going to be kind of awkward at home.
Oh yeah.
Between Stranger Things and this, we got some things to work.
Yeah, we're going to be out. No, we're going to be on not talking terms by that point. I feel.
I want to be a fly in the wall for this.
I mean, I will say, like, it is interesting because as much as I hate Jared Leto, I'm pretty sure Ares wouldn't have been a thing without him, because I think he really kind of pushed that movie. I don't think he directed it, but
no, he has a producing credit though.
Yeah, he was the one who really kind of pushed it. So to give credit where credit's due, am I happy another Tron came out? Yes, because at least I know that Disney acknowledges his existence. But I was pretty disappointed with Ares. I feel like compared to Legacy and even the original, it just doesn't really hold a candle. It feels far too generic, and the characters are just bland. I think the music's great. I think it definitely does hold somewhat of a candle to Daft Punk. I don't think it's better, but I think it's pretty darn good. So yeah.
So one thing I will include here in our show notes is there is not a documentary. It was just a YouTube video that talks about what could have been Tron Ascension. And it's like 10 minutes long. I watched this earlier today. So there was a direct sequel to Tron Legacy that was being planned after its release, and it ended up not happening because Tron Legacy didn't exactly, do buku box office, but it was still there. The character of Ares was present in the movie, and Jared Leto was cast as it originally. And so this is back in I think it was 2013, 2015, something like that. So he's been attached to this thing for a long ass time. And the story would have definitely involved Sam Flynn, Cora, Kevin Flynn, and it would have had similar theories, similar kind of story points of the grid getting out into the real world. However, because of the not great box office performance, and because right around that time, guess what property Disney acquired?
Star
Wars.
And they decided to put all the money behind developing new Star Wars projects. So Tron got shuffled right off to the side.
Also, I read that the box office failure of Tomorrowland, which was a George Clooney movie.
And John Carter, because that was in there too, which is one of the hugest bombs ever.
Led to the third Tron movie not happening, which is a huge mistake.
Tomorrowland wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't fantastic either.
Yeah.
I remember watching it. I just don't remember much about it, which is not great for a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I definitely remember it's there. Aside from that, not a whole lot.
Right.
But yeah, so therefore we wound up with Ares because Jared Leto was just like, hey, how about we do this? Let's make my character the main character. And someone along the line is, yes, because this Jared guy, he's box office dynamite.
I got to say, Jared Leto, second only to Paul Rudd in the aging game.
Well,
man doesn't age.
That's what happens when you sell your soul. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So as we put a bow on this trilogy, as we've spent, 2 episodes and God knows how much time on 3 movies here.
You are more offended than my previous cat was when I would shift my weight on the bed. Just the look of disgust from you. Just like, how dare you?
Indeed, sir. I do declare.
It's just palpable through the computer screen.
Oh my God. This movie was a work of art.
Oh, let your hatred flow.
One moment.
Do it. Do it.
Jabroni!
Oh my gosh. All right. So out of the 3 movies, let's go around the horn. Uncle Todd, what would you say is the best story?
Legacy.
TJ?
Legacy.
I'm going to say Ares. Thank you very much.
All
right.
Whatever.
Most coherent story, Uncle Todd.
Legacy.
TJ?
Legacy.
I'm going to say Ares. Thank you very much.
You're totally taking on my shtick right now. You know what? I got to appreciate it. Although I am suing in Wrestlers Court for gimmick infringement.
All right, best music of the trilogy. Which of these has the best music?
Legacy.
All right, I have to go with you on that. Legacy was the best. I really
finally saw reason.
Just enough out of you. All right. Best visual effects.
Legacy.
I'm going with Ares on this one.
There is no visual effects. It's like two things.
Hey, that whole like 3D printing laser thing, that is a visual effect. There it is.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm right through and through, and you know it.
You're wrong.
I'm not. I am in the right, as always.
What else you got?
That's all I had. And when it comes to the trilogy, though, like what is your overall take on it? So we started with a groundbreaking, from a technological standpoint, not from a story standpoint, movie in Tron in '82. We moved to the 2010 Legacy, which seems to be the even-keeled linchpin of the entire trilogy, and then you have Ares, which is wildly debatable from at least this group of us. So, what is kind of your bow on this trilogy?
It's almost like if you could mix and match the 9 Star Wars movies into its own trilogy. So I would say, for being groundbreaking, yeah, that'd be episode 4. So let's just say the original Tron would definitely be episode 4, groundbreaking effects, all that stuff. Some of the dialogue and stuff like that, much like Lucas's dialogue, can be a little choppy. I mean, the Legacy is definitely the empire of the trilogy, but then it's almost like you managed to somehow make either the Phantom Menace or Rise of Skywalker the third movie. It's like, what happened? Wait a minute. What? Who's? Why is any of this happening? And then it just ends. It's like, oh, well, that was a thing. So it's a trilogy. I wouldn't say it's a good one, because I feel like the third movie just kind of lets you down so much, especially after the second one. Like, the second one was such a quantum leap forward, and then it's like somehow you managed to take 2 steps sideways. It's like a knight on a chessboard. Like, you went sideways, but then instead of going 1 forward, you went 1 back. That's what I think.
It's kind of frustrating where the series is at right now, because I feel like Tron has always kind of been ahead, not even just kind of talking like with the visual effects, but also like the stories of like humans interacting with computers. Mm-hmm. You had that in the 80s, you had that in the 2010s, but it kind of is upsetting, because I feel like Ares was a missed opportunity to really kind of talk about humans and AI, especially in this time that we're living in right now, where we are, people are relying on AI, and it's getting implemented into virtually everything. I feel like they could have totally, like, I feel like for a series that for the last 2 films had been on kind of that cutting edge a little bit, I think Legacy could kind of be argued that maybe not necessarily, but I feel like Ares falls flat mostly because it doesn't really tackle those problems. It kind of just gives the generic corporate using AI for good, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like right now it's kind of lost its way, and I hope to see more Tron content, because like Uprising, which is just like an animated kids TV series, is like some of the best Tron media like I've ever taken in. Like, it's up there with Legacy, and to some extent maybe even better, because it covers some great topics, and kind of just like it's really gripping. It makes you care about the characters, like a bit more than I feel like Tron normally does.
Okay. All right. So your summation of the trilogy is it kind of peaks with Legacy and falls flat with Ares, huh?
Yeah, if Disney ever does a 4th, which I don't think they will, it sounds like they're kind of trying to axe it, which is sad, because I really like these movies. I hope they do. I hope they kind of go back to being that kind of like revolutionary kind of like takes on technology like they did back then.
Mm-hmm. I view this trilogy as a step forward with every movie. You know, you have Tron, which is the groundbreaking one. You have Legacy, which takes the story up a notch, and then you have Heirs, which continues things forward and
steps it right into a pile of dog.
Brings AI into the real world with a message that, you know, AI is fighting for the user. It really is.
Wow. It's just rough watching somebody just sell out live in real time.
Are you trying to like gun for like a Chat GPT like sponsorship or something, Dad? Like,
I salute our AI overlords and pledge my undying allegiance. No.
Tim likes to watch those videos on YouTube where you just watch things 3D print.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say
it's interesting.
Yeah, you're sounding a lot like Jarvis right now from Legacy. You know.
Well, you know, you could be called worse things, so I will take it.
I have been called worse things.
It was interesting to watch the trilogy, though. I mean, I hadn't seen Tron in a long time. Had not seen Legacy or Ares, and no, I very much enjoyed this journey. You know, kind of getting myself up to speed on these three movies again, and you know, I agree. I think it was probably a missed opportunity in some ways. You know, you wish it could have been better. I don't know if some of this was avoidance of the Matrix, because I think the Matrix did a lot to really, you know, in a very effective and entertaining way, you know, kind of bridge the gap between, you know, digital and reality. And so yeah, I appreciated what they did in Ares. I do kind of wish there was more depth to it. I think, you know, the grid overall is something that hasn't maybe been explored as much as it could have, but who knows? Maybe in future movies we can get that. But that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, that's where you're at. That's where you're at.
All right.
And what have you got for And Another Thing, a recommendation for our viewers and listeners this week, sir?
My And Another Thing is very simply Jon Stewart, his weekly show podcast, and he is on The Daily Show on Monday nights. He provides, you know, biting political satire and rhetoric, and I very much enjoy listening to him dissect and break down events that are going on around us. Just a guy just has an amazing way of articulating and in a comedic way, you know, just the absurdity of, you know, a lot of what goes on around us. And so I very much appreciate his take and his opinions, and just would recommend, if you have not listened to him, to check out his podcast. You know, very thoughtful interviewer, very just very deep in terms of knowledge, and you know, really can debate and discuss just a variety of topics in a way that very, very few, some journalists can't even seem to do. And so I would just very much, you know, just advocate for checking him out either on his podcast or the weekly show, or on the Daily Show on Comedy Central on Monday nights.
Very nicely, sir.
What is yours, sir?
I'm going to go with I can't remember if I've actually cited this one before or not, but the ESPN documentary Four Falls of Buffalo, covering the four appearances of the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl and the subsequent four losses of the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. I think it's one of those things where it's tough to it's kind of tough to place this team, because no one has ever gone to four Super Bowls in a row. I don't know that anyone ever will again. Like it was such a rare kind of occurrence for this, and a rare grouping of players. And it's tough to not try and give them their due, but at the same time, like, they just didn't get over the hump. And ultimately, as sports teams, like, that's kind of what you're judged on. You're judged on, you know, whether or not you lost or you won the last game of the season. So they're an interesting in the historical sense, just in terms of where you place them in, you know, NFL history, but also just the personalities of the players and how it reflects on the city of Buffalo and their just how they kind of fit, especially the moment, you know, after they lost the first Super Bowl to the New York Giants, lost it after Scott Norwood goes wide right on his potential game-winning kick. they hold a rally afterwards for the team. 30,000 people show up in friggin' February in Buffalo, New York, which is not going to be summery and warm. And they chant "We want Scott, we want Scott," until he came up to the front of the stage, and then they cheered this guy who had just he lost the game. I mean, and his teammates, rightfully so, were like, "Hey, everybody lost that game. Like so and so could have made tackles, so and so could have made throws, so and so could have, made catches, whatever." Mm-hmm. But I mean, he is the person who's kind of on the hook for it, and they cheered him, as opposed to like how the Red Sox, how Boston fans treated Bill Buckner for years. But it's like it just goes to show you what a special group that was, what a special fan base that was, and kind of how that fan base has continued to be tortured in a way. As we're recording this on the 13th the 12th into the 13th for me now here on the East Coast. The Bills are still in the hunt for the Super Bowl, but still have not quite gotten to the promised land. So, depending on how this season goes for the Bills, this might be a good rewatch. Or, if you're a Bills fan, you might just want to wait until after the season. Might not want to prep yourself. But really well done, a really good documentary. So I'd recommend that. And I'm sure it's streaming. I think it's streaming in a couple places, but I'm going to link to Netflix, I think, is where I've got mine linked to.
Nice.
TJ, you have anything you want to recommend to our viewers and listeners besides just more Tron?
Daft Punk album?
Well, I was going to say, I was actually going to say, as a fan, I love their album Discovery. It's their second album they ever made, and I honestly think it's probably one of the best albums of all time. Like, it's it's funky, but it's electronic, and it's just like their ability to sample like different types of like disco, bits from different disco tracks is like nothing short of impressive. Like there are a lot of videos on YouTube showing kind of like what they did to get the sounds that they did, and it's crazy. So yeah, I after talking about Tron, like I totally recommend Daft Punk's Discovery. I think it's a great album to listen to.
Awesome.
Very nice.
And I'm caught here trying to cut and paste in real time. All right, folks, that is it for our show this week. Thank you, TJ, for joining us 2 weeks in a row and educating us on Tron.
Putting up with our idiocy in the process.
I mean, that goes without saying. But thank you to all our listeners. And
doing the Lord's work.
Yes. And viewers, you can find all our episodes at freerangeidiocy.com. You can find us on the major podcast purveyors out there. We have full video streaming on our YouTube channel. We're also on the Instagram and the Facebook. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or all the reasons why you think Tron Ares is a terrible movie, send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to hand over the show to the least idiotic member of this show. It's not saying a whole lot. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I need to rig up like a spray bottle like you're a friggin' cat. So you go scurry off to the side. Rolled up newspaper, perhaps. I'm going to hand this over to the least idiotic member of the show. That's not saying a whole lot, but, but not before I ask the second most important, don't you do it. Not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. The first being, what is hit? The second being, the hell did we learn this episode besides the fact that you should not grab your participation trophies?
We have learned the following. That, the Tron trilogy has its ups and downs, but I think we can all agree that Legacy is a solid outing and is something to be taken in, as well as, the man they call Tim. He is 100% on the money that Ares is a fine film. TJ, I just want you to notice how quickly he fired that "you're wrong" off, because he was finger is right there on it. Right there on the soundboard. But as we have discussed these last two episodes, Tron Legacy, Tron Ares, do give them a view. It is worth the time, and you will find and agree with the man they call Tim that Ares is a fine. Jabroni! We've also learned that Jeff Bridges seems to bring the dude wherever he goes, and no, that is in no way, shape, or form more apparent than in Tron Legacy, especially man, that one line, "You're ruining my zen, man." Gotta love that line. And Michael Sheen is Castor, one of the fine outings, my friend. Oh my gosh, watching him gallivant and dance while people are getting thrown around and de-rezzed is just absolutely hysterical.
I had no idea that we'd be using the word gallivant in a discussion about Tron, but yet here we are.
It's what he was doing. I mean, he kind of looked like he wasn't Heat Miser. What was the other guy? The Snow Miser?
Gosh. Yes.
Yeah,
he does. He looks like snow, like the ice.
Tron
miser.
Legacy is a Christmas movie, ladies
there
and gentlemen.
It is.
Never knew this.
There it is. We've also learned that Jared Leto is aging about as fast as Paul Rudd is. Just seems ageless, but apparently Uncle Todd believes that's due to selling his soul to the devil. I disagree. And then, as we have said already, I will state it again. Thank you, TJ, for bringing the expertise and the fandom to our show here to keep us honest and on track. Even though your father is, off in the wasteland with his love of Ares. So. Yeah. With all that being said, as we like to close things up here on the Range, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The Range is closed for now.
I like a Mussolini.
See ya.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Flynn! Am I still to create the perfect system?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Yeah.
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair.
Yeah.
I prayed so hard for you.
Yeah.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
Yeah.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's supposed to be the the corny clip is supposed to be that's it.
Well,
and you just had to keep going.
I got the last word in. Ares rocks, baby! Woo!
You're wrong.
He's gonna edit that out, isn't he?
They better.
You know he's gonna edit out because this is gonna get us banned in about 40 of the 50 countries on Spotify.
You're messing with my Zen thing, man.
Now get the hell out of here!